Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode on the Oral Pathology channel, the Dentistry Special Series. This is Dr. Mandana Donahue, and it is wonderful to have you here from around the world and different time zones for the 72nd episode to the channel. Today's session about becoming licensed in the US. There are 5 mistakes every international dentist makes and how to avoid them by Dr. Gabriela Lagreca. And I can promise you it will be very, very informative, concise, and well thought out lecture that you will enjoy. And it will clear all your doubts because, above everything else, she's a true master storyteller herself. And I've heard her last year once while we were both taking part in a program conducted by the Tehran University. And at that point itself, I decided that I need to get her on the channel. And today she's here with us. Now, a formal introduction. Dr. Gabriela is an assistant professor in the Department of Prosthodontics, Tufts University School of Dental Medicine. She obtained her DDS at the UCV, that is Universidad Central de Venezuela, in 2009. In 2012, she completed an implant fellowship program in the Department of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery, I assume that is, at Tufts University School of Dental Medicine. She received her certificate in prosthodontics in 2015 and shortly after became a fellow of the American Board of Prosthodontics. She is a faculty representative for the American Dental Association chapter and director of the Academic Dental Career Fellowship Program, where over 1 year, selected dental students and residents explore the 3 pillars of academic careers: teaching, educational research, and service via direct mentorship. Dr. Lagreca is secretary for the ADEA Special Interest Group in Teaching and Learning with Emerging Technologies and was recently selected president of the ACP Massachusetts section. In this role, she launched the ACP Massachusetts mentorship program to help connecting residents and recent graduates with experienced clinicians, researchers, and leaders in the specialty. Currently, she is focusing on using educational technologies and the integration of online remote resources to make teaching and learning accessible to all. And she also has set up her own business, which is the International Dentist. And you should really, these 2 pictures you see at the side are screenshots of her latest podcast of this season of podcast. She interviews a number of people, finds out about what they do, and she brings meaningful conversations with educators, leaders, private practitioners, and business owners who share their experiences and learning of their career path that you can also use to develop in the United States and for all the international dentists. With all of these, I will just now request her to join us, and I will stop this share. Hi, Gabby, are you there? Yes, you're there.
Hello, Mandana.
Hello.
Greetings, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
Yes. Yes, everyone is wishing you. So I think we can just start.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that kind and special introduction, Mandana. Means a lot to me. We connected, as you mentioned, back earlier last year when COVID hit and we had the opportunity to make a presentation together without knowing each other. So I think that was a beautiful connection and one of those silver linings of COVID and all of the things that happened. At least we kept the friendship, and here we are today. So I'm honored to be in your channel.
Thank you. It's really great to have you here. I just totally was impressed by the way you think the very first time I heard you. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Wonderful. So I'm going to just get it going because you know me, I'm a practical girl. So I like to get into business. So
yes,
please confirm that you're able to see my screen.
Yes, I am. And I will just share it, add it to the stream. And here you go.
Okay, perfect. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Gabriela Lagreca, and I'm here today to talk to you about the 5 mistakes every international dentist makes and how to avoid them. You might be wondering, why I'm talking about this topic. And this is a work in progress, an experience of now almost 11 years of career paths and knowing others going through the career paths in the United States. More than 10 years ago, I was just like one of you, dreaming with a career in the US and hoping that I could make my dreams come true. But to be honest, I had no plan. I had a lot of dreams, a lot of ideas, and a lot of illusions about the things that I could do. But over the years, what I learned is that I wish I knew what I didn't know. And what I'm bringing you today is what I learned out of those years, what I learned from my interviews at the International Dentist Podcast, and how we can make your path better. So, without any further ado, let's dive in. Mistake number one international dentists do when they try coming to the United States: underestimate the process.
Sorry, Gabby, can
Yeah,
I just interrupt you for a minute? You have
please.
not gone into the slide presentation mode. Is that what you intend to do?
Which side? You don't see the full screen. You just see the this.
Yeah, I'm seeing it, not the full screen.
What about now?
Just try. No,
No. Let me try
no.
again. I'm gonna stop sharing and share again. Let's see.
Yes. So in the meanwhile, we have people now joining in. Yes, we have Dr. Manusmriti and Dr. Aditi.
Maybe now.
Yes,
Let me know.
please. Yes, we got it.
Okay,
Let's go.
perfect. Now it's working. Actually, I'm seeing my whole thing for whatever reason is perfect. Okay, so let's get back to
Okay, good.
mistake number one. And please, Dr. Mandana, interrupt me at any time. Ask any questions. I would love to make this an interactive chat. Okay.
Definitely,
So
doctor. Yes.
underestimate the process. What underestimate the process means? We all know coming to a different country, it's a lengthy, complicated, expensive thing. But I don't really think that we sit down to consider how does that look like in our life path, in our career, in our intentions, in a timeline. And a timeline is a descriptive process. So as such, yesterday, interesting enough, I was having a conversation with one of our IS students at Tufts. And I asked him, if you could go back in time, what would you do? Because I love having these conversations in the clinic. And he told me, Dr. Regreka, it took me 8 years to get into a program. And I think the main reason is because every year I kept doing something wrong. And I never sat down to realize what I needed to do right. So I thought the process was simpler. What I mean by that is the fact that there are different phases in this process. This is not like one streamline and not only one goal. I see a lot of people just focusing on taking their board exams, trying to get a good TOEFL score, maybe just thinking about getting all the paperwork together. And they spend so much time, so much energy, and all that. And to be honest, that is only one part of the process. That is the tip of the iceberg. That is the part that everybody knows. And eventually, if you have discipline and you're a hard worker person, you will be able to get all your exams, get all your paperwork, and be ready. However, that is not all. And that is the part that we underestimate. A lot of foreign trained dentists, even after they have everything they need in the list check, they still have a hard time getting into programs because they don't realize that it is a lengthy process. So I want to talk a little bit about that process because as soon as you have everything you need, and I'm not here to talk to you about how to study for your boards or how to get a good TOEFL score, I'm here for making an understanding and a point of you getting ready for everything else that is going to come your way. What is everything else? You need to understand that out of the application process, you will have to decide whether you're going to apply to an advanced standing program, if you want to get a DDS or DMD degree, or you have to understand if you want to do a specialty program, or if you want to get a certificate or getting just a license. So what an advanced standing program means, and this might be very basic, maybe some people in the audience know this already, this is an undergrad study. Advanced standing program means that you go back to dental school to obtain your DDS or DMD. This could be after completing 2, 3, and in some cases, 4 years of dental school back again. So you're going to be inserted into the third year of dental school. And just so you know, in case that you're not aware, dental education in the United States is a 4-year profession. Therefore, you are inserted halfway in the middle. And you are going to do every requirement, everything else, just like a dental student. It doesn't matter if you're a specialist. It doesn't matter how many years of experience you have. It doesn't matter if you have a master's. Everybody goes to this path, becoming a dental student again. And this is one option in order for you to obtain your degree to eventually obtain a license. Please know that in 2016, there were approximately 896 foreign nationals admitted in U.S. dental schools. This included dental students, residents, and advanced standing programs. So this is about less than 1,000 international dentists coming to the United States a year. But there are between 9,000 to 10,000 of applications every year, meaning there is an acceptance rate between 7 to 9% every year. 90% of people will have to apply again. 90% of people will not get a position in a program. So that is part of understanding the process and not underestimate it. It is a competitive process, and you're going to be involved in a system that it is competitive by nature, not only for international dentists, but also for Americans. So you also want to be aware of what are your possibilities. There are 66 dental schools in between the United States and Puerto Rico that offer advanced standing programs for foreign trained dentists. So there are 66 dental schools. Out of those, 31 offer advanced standing programs for international dentists. So out of half of the dental schools, or a little bit less than half, offer advanced standing programs. But not all of those advanced standing programs are open to foreign trained dentists that have no status. What I mean with status, I'm talking about legal status. Some programs offer visa, some programs ask you to be a permanent resident. So even out of those 31 programs of advanced standing, you might not be able to apply to all of them because you might not have a status that will make you eligible for that application. And of course, the application requirements, as I mentioned at the beginning, everyone is well familiar with them. Getting a TOEFL score to make sure your English is where it should be, taking either the National Dental Boards Part 1 and 2 or the Integrated National Boards, getting your transcripts from dental school, and then any other additional requirements they will ask you, like a bench test or case presentation. You should know that over 70% of the advanced standing programs do a sort of bench test. So you need to make sure your hand skills are also prepared. Don't underestimate the process. Then let's say that you choose to do a specialty training program or an advanced postgraduate program. These are programs that are not going to give you a degree. They're going to give you a certificate. As such, only a few states will be able to recognize a certificate for you to be eligible for license. And we're going to get into that a little bit more. But please know that there are 11 specialties accredited by ADA, and you have them on the screen. And I'm only leaving this here for a little bit. You can pause the video later and get back and writing them. Because if you want to get a license in the direction of a specialty training program, it has to be throughout a specialty accredited by ADA. Some common non-recognized specialties, or what they call here focus areas, are thought that they're specialties, or they might be specialties in other countries. Oral implantology or implant dentistry, aesthetics and cosmetic dentistry, dental, sleep medicine, geriatric dentistry. Many of these focus areas in some countries are specialties. In the United States, they are yet not recognized by the ADA as specialties. Therefore, with any program that is in this list or is not on the list of the 11 specialty programs, you cannot get a license. So it is important that you make sure that you choose a CODA accredited program. And CODA is the Commission of Standards of Dental Accreditation. This is an organization that takes care of making sure that all programs in the United States are following certain standards. So you need to make sure your school and your program is CODA accredited. Let's say that you don't want to do specialty. Let's say that you also don't want to do advanced standing, or you want to broaden your options. You could also do an advanced postgraduate program, and this will also lead you to a certificate. An advanced graduate program will be a general residency or general practice residency, called also GPR, or an advanced education in general dentistry, which is an AGD. This could be a 1 or 2 year residency program. It is basically an advanced general dentistry type of residency. Several dental schools don't accept foreign trained dentists for these programs. And it is mostly because of each state policies. Part of understanding the process is for you to know that you're coming to a country where each state is a small country, meaning the rules that apply in Massachusetts will not be the rules that apply in Florida. So don't underestimate the process. Make sure you obtain all the information and make sure you know exactly what is needed in each state that you want to practice in order for you to get a license. So my advice out of mistake number 1 is decide where you want to go. If you know already you have an attachment with a state, in particular for family reasons, for personal reasons, go on the board of dentistry of that state and look at what are the requirements for licensure. Some states only accept advanced standing for you to get licensed. Some states might accept the specialty training, and a very limited number would let you practice or obtain a license with an advanced postgraduate program like a GPR or AGD. So that is advice number 1. Are we doing okay so far, Dr. Mandana?
Yes, all good.
Super. Mistake number 2. Apply to programs without selection criteria. This is my favorite interview question, to be honest. I learned so much from people by asking them what is their selection criteria. And to be completely honest, I didn't have one myself. I didn't know I need to have one. I said I will just apply to as many programs as I can because I want to broaden my opportunities. But it is important to have some selection criteria because it's going to be a big investment in time and money that you're going to make. So you need to make sure that program can provide you with everything you need to be successful. As you're thinking on how to create a selection criteria, you should go and figure it out exactly what type of program fits you better. As I said, one option will be identifying whether you're going to be doing an advanced standing program or a specialty training or a postgraduate program. Once you have identified the type of program that fits your needs better, either personal needs, whether you want or not to go back to dental school, whether you want or not to specialize, and whether you know which state you want to live, then you start making a list of universities. And what are the universities that start fitting your selection criteria? Your selection criteria can involve many things. It could be from having something close to family. It could be a city. It could be access to technology. It could be diversity. I could tell you what it was important to me when I applied for universities. The number 1 most important element for me as a foreign trained dentist was making sure that I was applying to a university that could provide me a culture of diversity and inclusion. And I felt that was very important because I didn't want to feel excluded. I didn't want to feel the Venezuelan or the one that didn't belong. I wanted to be in a multicultural environment. I wanted to be in a multicultural city. And I understood that many universities have great programs. And I was able to probably get good education in many places, but I was not able to get good experience in many places. So experience was important for me. Whatever it is for you, whatever your heart calls for, make sure you have a selection criteria. As I said, it could be many things, and it will look very, very different for you than it was for me, or maybe not. But in any scenario, have that list, that wish list of what's important for you, and try to see which programs fit you best. Because at the end, this is like a match. You need to make sure not only you are the good candidate for the program, but they're also a good candidate for you. And I strongly believe if you are intentional on your choices of programs, you will be less disappointed with the results. Because imagine you are going on dates with 20 people, or if you meet 20 people that are completely different to you and they're not successful, you shouldn't be frustrated because they're all very different to you and they were not meant to be. I think I see the process of application the same way. If you apply to a university that you're well suited, that you're the best candidate, that fits your selection criteria, you should have no issue to get in if you're well prepared. That is my advice for apply to getting a selection criteria. Mistake number 3, not looking at data. And I think data, I think we're in the world of the big data right now, so we're all about data and everybody uses data for a lot of things. Why we don't use it for dentistry so much or for the process of application? Maybe you don't know, but the ADA and the American Dental Education Association, ADEA, they release information about the match results every year. So if you go on the website, you could actually access to list and see how many people have match programs or not. So I just want to show you the data from 2016, 17, and 18. And I highlighted there the non-US applicants for specialty programs, GPR, AGD, you have oral surgery, that pediatric dentistry, ortho, anesthesia, and pros. If you see the numbers carefully, the total of applicants for specialty programs in 2018 was 523. Out of those 523, 362 were not matched, which means they didn't get into any program, at least from this list. So if you think about it, it's almost 70% of people didn't get an acceptance. So only 30% of the ones that apply got in, for specialty programs at least. So look at the data, see what the difference is between ortho, between perio, between pros and GPR. You can see oral surgery. A lot of people ask me frequently about oral surgery and how it is a process of becoming an oral surgeon in the US. And to be honest, it's probably one of the most competitive specialties, but not for international dentists only, also for Americans. So please know that there are going to be certain specialties that are more complicated than others. And it has a lot to do with the way how that specialty is practiced in the country. Perhaps the best example, which is oral surgery programs in the United States are mostly affiliated to hospitals. And because they are affiliated to hospitals, they go by the rules of the medical boards in many instances. So their acceptance requirements are very, very competitive, and they're very strict because they go by the medical school. So that is what it makes some programs different than others. It is very important that you know precisely what is the data about the programs and what are your best chances. Because if you tell me I only want oral surgery and I only apply to oral surgery programs because that's my selection criteria, then that means that you're missing out on an opportunity. Because look, in 2018, only one non-US individual was accepted to oral surgery programs versus 47 were accepted to perio. And this is nationwide, all the United States. So keep in mind, data is available. You should be able to go on the ADA website or on the ADEA website. If you go on Google, match results, official match results of last year, they release the data and you can access to all this information for free. And I have here, actually, I'm going to skip quickly. Sorry, mistake number 4, not recognizing the cost of the process. Not recognizing the cost of the process, it is not only the cost of the university. This was very shocking to me, and I put it as a mistake number 4 because I recognize that a lot of people share this. They don't see the process as something that is going to require investment. And investment is not only time. Investment is everything that you can do to become a better version of yourself. Of course, a better version of yourself to be more competitive applicant, but not necessarily only that. I never recognized that each application to each school will have a fee attached to it. And in addition to that, for me to be a good applicant, I had to do some investment on myself. So to me, what that looked like when I applied was getting a fellowship before. I recognized that as a foreign trained dentist, it was very difficult just to come from my country without any experience in the United States. So I had to make an additional investment in a fellowship in order to be able to get into the program of my dreams, which was prosthodontics. This could look very different for you. I know people that do masters before. I know people that go into specialties in public health. I know people that they do internships, externships, preceptorships, different kinds of programs. But having an additional experience, recognizing also that there is an additional cost related with that. And maybe you're thinking, that's very unfair. I'm already a dentist in my country. Why do I have to do an additional program? Maybe it will relieve your heart if I tell you that in the first year class at Tufts University this year, 60% of the first year students have a master's. So the process is also very competitive for Americans. You're not alone. Dental school in this country is extremely competitive. So don't feel it's only you. Everybody's going through the same process. Everybody has their challenges. So prepare for the unexpected cost of this dream of yours. And if you're not ready to deal with that part, then you might need to revisit your dream. Because the process of getting into a program itself, it is very costly. In many instances, people have to move to the United States to try to even get opportunities, get into a research program to do a master's, and do something consistently. People think that, oh, I'll just get 2-3 months of research. That is not enough. It is not enough because the kids that apply to dental school here, American applicants, they might do 1 or 2 years of research. Can you imagine? Yes, they don't have a degree, but many of them do have a degree. They might have a master's by the time that they get into dental school. So recognize the cost of the process, recognize of these additional things that you need to do, and please know that you have to prepare a budget for the application. I applied to as many schools as I could pay. I had a selection criteria. And of course, my selection criteria dropped it down to several universities. I remember at that time was maybe 15 universities with pros programs. I couldn't apply to all. I didn't have the money for all that. I had to make a very intelligent choice of the number of programs in priority rank I could afford to apply. Because along with the application process, if you get interviews, you need to estimate the cost of traveling for the interview as well. Luckily now with COVID, we might be able to do some online interviews, so you will have that opportunity, hopefully. But you have to account at some point for these unexpected expenses. My last mistake, and I relieved it already, the hidden curriculum. The hidden curriculum is not recognizing that there is a lot of other things that you need to do that are not written in the to-do list. When you go on the websites of the programs, when you see the application process, you only see the 25%. People only talk about the board exams, the TOEFL scores, preparing a CV, getting a statement of purpose or a letter of intent. Nobody really talks about everything else. And that in education is called the hidden curriculum. Those things that are not written in your to-do list, those things that are not written in the curriculum, but those that people are learning, those that people are doing. And you might be wondering, what are those? And there are actually many of them in the process of application. There are many, many elements in the hidden curriculum. I guess the ones that it could stand out more are the extracurricular activities. If you look at the websites and look at the list of application requirements for the schools, nobody tells you have to volunteer. Nobody tells you must do research. Nobody tells you that you have to shadow a clinic or get another degree before applying for this. But everybody knows that most applicants have those things. And for that reason, that has become the standard. So please know there is a 75% beyond of what you're thinking. Try to get as many opportunities as possible to do the extra thing. What is the extra thing? You can do volunteering activities, either volunteering your time or volunteering your expertise. That volunteer could be in the form of a social activity, or it could be in the form of playing a role in an organization. Organized dentistry is very important in the United States, so make sure you are involved. You're a person that is active, you're a person that is collaborative, that knows how to work with others. Make sure you prepare for a good CV that actually reflects you. People underestimate the value of a well crafted CV. And this is the only document that you can write about yourself. So make sure it's a good representation of yours. Make sure you get help if you don't know how to write a good CV. If you want somebody to help you with that, make sure you seek for the help if needed. Because this is the opening door. Your CV, your statement of purpose, and your recommendation letters, especially the recommendation letters, are the most important elements. Another piece of hidden curriculum. According to data, and this is actually a research project that was published, the program directors in the United States rank what they look the most in applicants. And on the top three of what they look the most in an applicant was not GPA, was not national board scores, was not even TOEFL. They look at recommendation letters. Why? Because a recommendation letter is somebody else talking about you. And nobody can talk better about yourself than somebody that knows you very well. So make sure that you are smart when you pick your recommendation letter people. Make sure they know how important this is for you, and make sure they can write that special letter that is going to make you stand out. Because a letter can make you stand out or can make you bring down the pile. Remember, this is all papers people get. So you need to make sure that your paper gets on top. So this is also part of the hidden curriculum. What else could you do in order to increase your chances? If you have the possibility to come to the United States and get exposed, that is probably my suggestion regarding the hidden curriculum. You cannot know something that you don't see. You cannot experience something that you don't live. And I know this is very challenging, and I know it requires an extra preparation, but you really need to know if this is the right fit for you. We all have a dream. We all have an illusion. We all think about how I would love to do this and that, but you have to start somewhere, and you have to realize whether this is really your dream. I know people that come here for a few months and said, you know what, this is too much. This is definitely not what I want. I don't like the lifestyle. People work too much. Like, I heard several things. So you can only know what you see. You can only know what you experience and live by yourself. So getting close to the end of the presentation and going back to the 5 mistakes, please make sure never underestimate the process. Apply to programs with a selection criteria. Don't ignore the data. Recognize the cost of the process and work hard on the 75% part of the hidden curriculum. With that, I'm going to show you a little video of my baby, my beloved project, the International Dentist Podcast. And with that, I want to thank you all for your attention. Please visit, if you have an opportunity, theinternationaldentist.com. My podcast is available at the website and also in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. And Dr. Mandana, all yours.
Yes, thank you. So, first, let me ask everybody. So, now we are open to questions, and we have about 20 minutes left. Dr. Gabriela made it a point to ensure that the presentation was short so that she could interact with you. Please type in your questions, whatever you want to ask her, in the chat box, and we will deal with that. In the meanwhile, until that happens, okay, I have one question. I often get asked by people to give recommendation letters. So at that end of the spectrum there. So, and some of them I have taught years ago. And sometimes I have not even directly been in touch with them. So I mean, the last post I held, say I was the head of department, so my personal interaction with that particular student would be very limited.
Mm.
So in which case I'm always at a loss. It to me it feels more practical that I should tell them to get the teacher who was actually interacting with them to write it, because
Yeah.
I have no personal stories to say, no personal experiences to share about how they were. But the students themselves think that it would be better if I give it. What do you think?
I love that you raised that point, Dr. Mandana. Maybe this is great for the listeners out there. Please don't put your teachers, please don't put your mentors in that difficult position of saying no to you, because they're so nice, they will not say no to you. They will do their best to write the best they can with what they have. But if they don't know you, they don't have anything. So think about the value of that. Not that I know that we get stuck very much on thinking this name is very important. This person has a title. But if I have a letter of somebody that has a title, and I'm telling you from the other side of the spectrum too, if I'm reading the applications and I see, oh, the chair of the department wrote a letter saying that this person just met expectations and whatever and nothing special, it looks like copy paste versus a very good letter. I don't mind who wrote it. I don't pay attention to that as much as I see the content and value, because what the program directors are looking is to get to know you before meeting you. They really want to know you are somebody who could get somebody else to write something special. And we don't see that often, Dr. Mandana. We see a lot of copy-paste recommendation letters, and we know the reasons, right? Because people just go to the same people all the time, and these people have a list of 20, 30 letters every year to write. And then people get into this process. I already asked a letter last year. I have to ask again. So third time, fourth time, fifth time, the same person asking you a letter. And you're still, in these 5 years, have not met this person, have not interacted with this person. So I get very passionate about this because I know we all know somebody who knows us very well. And if you don't know anybody that knows you very well, start working on that relationship. That is actually the first step. Maybe I asked you this year, Dr. Mandana, to give me a letter. Maybe your letter this year was not the best because you didn't know me. Well, maybe I didn't get it on this cycle. I'm going to work. Can I work with you? Can we make a plan to work together? I really want you to get to know me. I want to learn from you. It's not I want a letter from you, but I really want to learn from the experience. And maybe after a year, guess what? You develop a relationship, you learn, you gain so much insight from a knowledgeable person, and you might get a good letter. So it's all a win, but you have to invest. And people will not invest in you if you don't invest in yourself. We're not going to go and knock you like, hi, do you want to be my mentee? Hi, do you want to work with me? So my advice to that will be, please try not to put people in uncomfortable situations. Many people will not. I will say I learned from that. I rather say I'm not the best person to write your letter. So I'd say it politely because I know I will make a harm. They think that I'm helping, but I will actually harm them. And I try to explain that. I will do anything else you want. I'm happy to involve you in anything you need, but I'm not the right person to write your letter. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, I totally get you because, I have actually, when I started years ago, when I started getting the request to write a letter, the first thing is I didn't know what is supposed to go into a recommendation letter, frankly. So
Mhm.
I actually started reading a lot of online templates and the how to write a recommendation. And what
Mhm.
struck me in the most was that you can, even if it's a good student, and I know like this person is in my, 90 percentile kind of a thing, but
Mhm.
if I have no personal thing to say about, no personal experience to share, then they could have anyway found that from the grades. If grades is all I'm going to base my letter on, then that is already there in the grades. you
Yeah.
know. So I also tend
Yes.
to say, like, no, I really don't know you well enough. But yes, I know that it's sometimes maybe the students get a little hurt that I'm saying no. It's a difficult thing, to balance
Mhm.
there. But yes, I'm glad this was discussed. So we have one question for you. Yes, from Dr. Aditi.
Okay. So reapplicants' activities to stand out. I think when you are a reapplicant and this is not your first cycle applying, the first thing you need to do is sit down, be honest with yourself, and wonder what went wrong. It's not only looking random activities to stand out, it's seeing what were you missing. Because if you didn't stand out was because you were missing something. So it is super important you identify what are those elements you're missing. And maybe you don't know. In that scenario, just find for help, talk to a mentor, talk to somebody who's been through the process and show them your profile. Look, this is who I am. What do you think I'm missing? And ask several people. I feel we get kind of shy in this process because it's vulnerable, right? So we don't want to share our weaknesses. But maybe you show me and I'll bring up something. Maybe you show Mandana, you bring something else. So there is value on collaborating and making this a team effort. So in order for you to know what to do, you have to identify first what your starting point is and what your weaknesses have been. Why you didn't make it before. Was it because you didn't have research experience and you were applying to a research based school? Selection criteria. Was it because you didn't have clinical experience and you were applying to a clinical program? Selection criteria and preparation. Was it because you are in a different country and you're not able to gain any experience at all in the United States? That has become lately a limitation as well. And it is a limitation because if you think about it, you're going to come here to treat patients. They want to make sure you will be able to not only safely treat the patient from the point of dentistry, but also be compliant with all of these elements that make the practice of dentistry in the United States, which are many, by the way, and it's very complicated. And it's very different than in many countries. And they know that. And because they know it's very different than in many countries, they want as much as possible to make sure that you understand the system before you come. And you can only do that by doing another kind of program. Whether it's, as I said, for me, was a 1 year fellowship. For some people, it's an internship or preceptorship. For some people, it's getting a hygiene license and working as a dental assistant. It is imperative that you understand what your weaknesses are and what are those points that you need to work on and see which one of those can you work from your country. And if you realize after talking to so many people that the main challenge you have is that you have to get experience in the United States, then those are probably the things that you need to do.
That is true.
Yeah.
So, you just mentioned that you need to get some clinical experience and preferably in the United States. Like you mentioned, now the whole point is without a license, you can't really do any work. So
Mhm.
this is a catch-22 situation. So is that why you could, I mean, would it work if you sort of got the hygienist license and did some amount of work as a hygienist?
Some states actually are more accessible to get hygiene license than dental licenses. So I do know many general dentists, foreign trained dentists that start there because they can get some clinical experience throughout a hygiene practice, whether it's even 1 year of hygiene practice. You could tell that the individual knows what a board accreditation process is because you will have to go through the process of hygiene. So I will know that person knows the system. I will know that person knows the fast pace of dentistry here. I will know that person will have been working with patients safely and compliant with some elements. So that is very telling. A lot of people ask, like, should I shadow? Should I do this, that? Every experience counts, but each experience will show a different side of you. So I think throughout getting a license of a hygiene, it could be very helpful. And it could also help you if you are able to work, because of course we're leaving aside the ability to legally work and getting a permit to work, which is a different conversation for a lawyer. But in the scenario of just getting the license to practice, it shows a lot of value. It shows that you really understand many, many elements of this process. So that could be, if you want to practice any kind of dentistry, that's probably the only way throughout that license. There is a second alternative, which is getting a limited license. And limited license are restricted in some states. There are some states that allow you to get limited license when you are in a program. So if you're in a residency, you get a limited license. There's some other limited license that are faculty limited license. Professors can get temporary license to work under the boundaries of the institution. But for you to be able to access to those licenses, you need to have the job first. So you need to be hired as a professor, or you need to be hired as a faculty in order to be able to access to one of these licenses. So it's not impossible, it's still possible. And it might be a great fit for, I don't know, somebody who's been a professor in their country. Let's say you, Dr. Mandana, you want to come here. You're not going to start and go back to dental school 2 years, right? So that might not be the path for you. So for you, understanding the process means, okay, where I'm standing right now, what is my career path? What are my options based on my experience? That's why the path could look different from a person to the other. And that's why I created the podcast, because I found fascinating to see that there were so many options, but I also found it very confusing because I'm like, where do I start? And the truth is that not all the options are suitable for everyone. When we think about options, we think about shopping. I go shopping and, oh, I see all these things. I want this, I want that, whatever my money can afford. This is not that type of option. This is actually alternatives, not necessarily all options for everyone.
That is very true, because I think a little further ahead along, like you said, like supposing someone like me wanted to come, and frankly, I'm never going to practice dentistry, the general dentistry. So someone like me would be looking at my own specialization. So going back to dental school would be like an absolute waste of time. I would much rather do,
Absolutely.
repeat even a master's, which is oral pathology itself, than go back to dental school. Because
Exactly.
that's something I'm never going to do.
Totally.
So
So
it's
imagine for somebody like you, somebody who has a specialty already, he might be looking into a different path, maybe a master's in public health, or maybe if you wanted to, let's say that you wanted to do a master's, but if not, at least to have an affiliation with an institution so you can see people in your space throughout the institution. So those are definitely options for those that I call atypical candidates, people that have a very special profile. And in that scenario, I say coaching. Coaching is the number one element that only a coach that has experience can help you bring up your strengths. And as you said, when you talked about writing a recommendation letter when you only have the grades, imagine, you know how many personal statements are read? And they are just the same as the grades, or just the same as the CV.
exactly.
Guys, advice. You have 2 documents to write about yourself. Don't make them the same. They're all the time the same, Dr. Mandana. The personal statement is all of the things I did. And I did this program, and I did this, that, and I went to school, blah, blah. I already have the CV. You're wasting an opportunity of another space to talk about who you are in your soul, what makes you a special human being. Maybe a personal story, maybe a patient story, maybe a connection, whatever it is. Don't use your personal statement to tell me your CV qualifications. You are wasting an opportunity to showcase yourself.
Very true. Very good. Very good advice there. And here's your one more question.
Yes. So the different fellowships that we can do before applying. Each school offers different programs that are programs not CODA accredited. What that means is that programs are not conducive to license. They are, sometimes they call them fellowships, sometimes they call them internships. It really depends of the type of experience that you're going to get in the program. So each school offers different alternatives. My suggestion will be, in that scenario, you will have to go to the individual website of each school, because there is no classification of those, because they're out of the boundaries of this CODA organization. Everything that is under the umbrella of CODA, which is official, it will be at the ADIA website, and you're going to apply either to PASS or CAPIT, which are the centralized application websites. If it's not that, then those programs are not going to be listed there. If they're not listed there, basically every university can offer any other program they want to obtain X type of experience. So I will say, for example, for me, because I wanted to do prosthodontics, I look for programs that will give me either a pros experience or a implant experience. I'm not going to go on trying to do an observership in endo or a fellowship in endo because that wouldn't make sense to me, at least for my application. So what I did first, selection criteria, I chose cities because I knew somehow where I didn't want to be. I didn't know where I want to be, but I knew what I didn't like. So at least I started there. Okay, I don't like these cities. So this, because either they don't offer the cultural environment I want. As I said, that was my most important thing. So, okay, I want a city that is international, where there's a lot of foreign people, where I'm not going to feel excluded, where there's not going to be racism and discrimination. So all those things were so, so delicate to me that I didn't even look at those universities, Mandana. I knew I was closing opportunities, but I didn't want to be miserable. I didn't want to feel pointed with a finger. I was too scared. I was coming to a new country. I couldn't deal with all that at that time. Maybe today I'm stronger after so many years, but at that time I felt I didn't want to add that on my plate. So I made a choice and I said, okay, in these cities, let's see what the universities have to offer. And I went and I checked what were the fellowships available. Some fellowships are a year, some fellowships are 2 years. Most of these programs are paid programs, means that there is a tuition fee involved with it. If there is a tuition fee involved with it, that means that you have to prepare financially in this part of the application. And this is what I made with mistake number 4, not recognizing the cost. So very important to know precisely what are your options, which cities are you willing to go or not, and then what's going to be the budget that you could allow for those programs. There are very few of these programs pay you or you get a stipend. It will be very unlikely you can access to those if you're still with a visa. So you will likely have to have a different kind of migratory status. Call it you have to be a permanent resident in order to get a check, or you have to have a type of visa that is a visa for these type of programs.
Sorry, just having a slight issue with the speed, I think. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. We had a fall on the speed at this end, so okay, I just had to close some applications. And that is all. Okay, cool. We're good. Okay. Anyway, I think we are coming close to the point where you had said you have to finish early. So do you have time for one last question?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about preceptorships.
Yes.
So I can answer this quickly. Anything that is investing in yourself is worth spending on. The quality of the preceptorship, that depends. So it really depends on why you're doing the preceptorship for. Are you doing it to gain experience, to gain something tangible that you can bring to your country, or you are doing it to gain an extra opportunity to get into a program of your dreams? So I see these programs as a bridge for something else, and not necessarily a bridge that is going to ensure you an acceptance, but it is a bridge that is going to open the door for people to know you. And talking about recommendation letters and people who could write things about you. If you could spend a year and invest a year in being in a university with people, this is your 1-year interview, guys. Yes, you're paying for a preceptorship, but what you're actually paying is for a 1-year interview. These people are going to get to know you. Don't waste this opportunity. I know a lot of people that get chilled. Oh, this is not the program I want. This is not the university I want. You never know who knows who. You never know who's going to call the phone and say, hi, you know what, that Gabby, she was not that great after a preceptorship. Or the opposite. Some people will take the extra. When I did my fellowship, Mandana, this is true story, the director of my fellowship went personally to talk to the program director of pros. You have to accept Gabby. Whatever it is, her laboratory skills are worth like a book. Her clinical skills are this. Can you imagine? I didn't ask him. I didn't have to. It was my work over the year that made him feel passionate about my dream. So I make my dream contagious to others, and others were willing to help me. So whether it's worth spending on, if you're going to make the most out of it, yes, it is worth spending on. If you're going to take this not this way, but with different intention, it might not be.
Yes, I get you. I hear you. That is very true. But definitely, more than anything else, I think people knowing makes a lot of difference. The very interaction, a face-to-face interaction,
Mhm.
even when I find that, and that's especially improved now because we've got so used to having these virtual meetings. Because otherwise, you could be interacting with someone over email for months together and not get anywhere. But if you can manage to get one conversation, and that makes all the difference, that makes a
Mhm.
real difference. Yes.
Indeed.
So this has been great, and it's. I think everyone got a lot from this. So I am going to now just say thank you. I know this you have on a limited time today. Thank you so much. This was very, very interesting. And we had over 100 people watching. And I do know that people will continue watching throughout the day. Yes.
We hope so. We hope this can make a positive impact for people. Be prepared. Don't make these mistakes. You have the tools already. It is on you guys. So good luck with everything. And thank you so much for having me, Dr. Mandana.
You're most welcome. Totally my pleasure. So just, yes, I shall say thank you to all the people who are with us. Few had sent us a message and said hi and said it is great. Dr. Manusmriti, Dr. Aditi, Dr. Sai Leela, Dr. Esra, Dr. Mariana has joined us today. That is nice. I think this was more to her timing. Dr. Aditi and Dr. Mansi. Yes, thank you everybody for being with us. And yes, and I have to disclose one little thing. I was talking about the storytelling competition. So, Dr. Gabriela is one of the people who is going to be judging the final session. And as you noticed, she's excellent on storytelling. And I definitely suggest you go and listen to her podcast, which I have done quite a few times. Very interesting stuff. She has an ability of getting very interesting information and getting people to, I think, a real, what I should say, relate their experiences very well. So that is that. And coming Tuesday, we are back with oral pathology, and this time we are going to have a look. It's a year since I started the channel and Oral Pathology India and Oral Pathology 360. It's time we start tackling the original question. How do we to get things to improve in the oral pathology fraternity within India, where we are a large number, the largest around the world, but we need to get things moving a little bit. So having a session out of the box thinking, I hope you will join me and we will think and consider whether we can use professional advocacy to start getting our profession going ahead a little bit more faster. And yes, I think that is that. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Gabby. And thank you, everybody. It's
Thank you
wonderful.
all
I
so
hope you'll be
much.
back soon.
Hopefully.
Yes, hopefully.
Have a
We do have a
beautiful day and
dentistry
weekend.
special session has prosthodontics too, so you can come back with
Ah,
prosthodontics.
maybe we can talk about pros, my favorite.
Yes, absolutely. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Okay, take care. Thank you so
Bye.
much again. Bye.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Bye.
Bye.